Hi members, as you are coming in, we don't want to keep you up with nonsense. We really want to give you some feedback. Unfortunately, things happen so fast. The biggest room that we had available is the one that we are currently using. Chris, just to make sure, are we recording at this stage? Can you do that?
Yeah, you might just need to give me, I am recording now. So
Are you recording now?
yeah,
Okay, great.
that's fine.
Okay, it's nicely populating. It should be full within a few minutes. We're just waiting for everyone to arrive. All right. I just need to find a couple of our members, please. The two advocates. Hendrik, I found you. I'm gonna unmute you in the meantime so that you are ready there. I've asked to unmute you. I'm getting telephone calls. I'm not going to take this now. I just can't. Hendrik. Okay, Hendrik, you are in. William, I'm unmuting you. How many members can you guys see? How many we are already? Looks like the room is almost there. 98. 100. Okay. Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. The participants in this room, the number
I think we're at,
that we can allow in?
according to my, we're supposed to be able to do 300, but somebody was saying we can only allow 100. I don't know why there is a limit like that.
Okay. All right, gentlemen and ladies, we will put all of these things in a good professional way and get it ready. We will open up a Zoom room that can host 1,000. We did not expect to reach so many people so quickly in this room. We want to give you a little bit of feedback on what happened today, and not just today, what has aspired up to this point for the RAG team's existence and where we are going from here. A number of us are just, well, we are all just members like all of you guys that are concerned about our Bitcoin. So firstly, I want to say to anyone on the Zoom call, we are not part of top management. We are not part of any syndicate. We are not any scammers. We are here because we want to represent our members in MTI that have all gone through this pain at the moment. Quickly about myself, I joined in January, on the 10th of January this year. My organization it's not a huge organization, but we've got some very good guys in this team that helped put this RAG team together. We are representing about 2,000 members, and we have linked up with some other networks in order to give proper information through to everyone that is verified. And we are not speculating on any of our WhatsApp and Telegram groups currently of what the situation is with MTI. We are only working on facts. We are at this point in time filtering through information. I'm going to just quickly ask our lawyer, not the lawyer, sorry, the advocate that participated in our meeting this morning, Hendrik van Staden, advocate in Hendrik van Staden, just to give us a 2-minute summary of this morning, and then I'm going to introduce a couple of the members just so that you guys can identify that we are members like you. Hendrik, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Advocate van Staden. I'm also part of the organization that brought the first application for liquidation of MTI. We had a discussion with the other legal minds this morning, as well as the RAG team management. And it was agreed upon that it's in the best interest of everyone that MTI is liquidated provisionally to firstly protect the assets of the investors and to ensure that at least we will be able to recuperate some of the money that was lost by investors, and also to ensure that we all work together to ensure that the right people are appointed and the right minds get together to work in the best interest of all the investors. And the people who also join are not people who are only there for their own interest and trying to gain from the liquidation itself. It's also very important that Mr. Steinberg has got access to the wallets currently, and if we don't liquidate it, there's a possibility that all the assets, which is the Bitcoin, can be transferred to third parties, which is something we don't want, because we want to make sure that we protect your assets that is vested within MTI and which you entrusted to them to make more additional money or Bitcoin for yourself. Thank you.
Great.
Hendrik, sorry,
Hendrik,
can
yes.
I think something Hendrik might need to clarify for everybody, which is really, really important. Hendrik, because of who you're working with at the moment, you are going to be you're working with a past track record of people. So maybe just a small little bit of history there would help also make the people understand why there is a chance of success here.
Okay. As indicated this morning, I do have experience with Ponzi schemes. The team that I'm working with, including Advocate Vaughan Victor, has experience and a track record of working with Ponzi schemes, investigating them, and ensuring that we are able to get back cryptocurrencies for the investors, which are then able to be paid out for them. It must also be noted that we are specializing in irregular business practices, cyber crime and cyber law, as well as Ponzi schemes. Myself are also currently busy with 2 Ponzi schemes, notably Voltage Solutions, which was run by Mr. Willie Breed, and then also BTC Global, which also had many of the top management of MTI that was participants actively in BTC Global, and even some of them in Voltage Solutions. So it's very important that when we take this bull by the horns, that we make sure that we know what we are doing. It does not help we get people in who don't understand it, as it is very much specialized. And in order to ensure we get the maximum assets back for investors, we will be working together as a team, as I said, with the RAG guys, as well as with other people in our organization. And also all the contacts we have that we built up previously with the other Ponzi schemes that we are working on, and we are recuperating assets for investors.
Yes, thank you very much, Hendrik. Just a bit of background, what happened. A couple of members in our network, I just spoke to a few of them and I said, we need to do something. I don't know what. I don't have the legal expertise, but we need to do something. And then in a conversation with Johannes Creel, Johannes contacted me and he said, listen, he has a possible solution in gathering the members of MTI to a central point where we can get verified information, where we can verify members that can follow up-to-date information through this network of advocates and lawyers and know-how at this point. Hendrik was not the only advocate. There were 2 other advocates in the meeting this morning. The advocate that actually represented one of the clients, which is one of the members of MTI at the liquidation process in Cape Town, was also on this meeting. And the advocates are collaborating amongst one another to form a collaboration so that we have one point where we have a very strong team that could represent us as MTI members, because it is inevitably so. Everyone is worried and people are going to start seeing lawyers, and there might be a lot of applications going to the High Court, and it's going to just chase up costs unnecessarily. So, Johan, I'm going to give you a moment just now. I want to ask just one other member, Johnny Kruger. I see you down in the group. Please, if you can just tell us from your network side, you know, your experience with MTI, as well as, you know, that you are a member.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. I've been in MTI since 16th September last year. With Johan Steinberg being a personal friend of mine, and we worked together for the most beginning part of MTI when they started, before the board of directors actually stepped in and took over the control of the part of the company. I saw the trading, personally I saw the trading more than 6 times. So I had no doubt at all that there was at any time anything wrong, and I still stay on that point. And that's why I supported the guys to actually come in with a provisional liquidation, so that we can, whoever is in control of the fund at this stage, make sure that we support them and make sure that the investments does not go away and disappear. So from my side, being a member and being a friend, I want to thank Johannes and Henry and the guys and all the lawyers and the advocates that are willing to assist us in this matter and drive this thing forward. We all need to stand together to make sure that we keep going forward.
Johnny, Johnny, just one question. You said at the beginning of your discussion, which I think might be incorrectly interpreted, you said you have a close relationship with Johan, but you are not part of the management team. You never were. You were.
No, not at all.
Okay,
I didn't.
That's just clarify that, because the way you said it might be misconstrued.
Thank you very much for that. And Johnny, just an indication, your network size at this moment?
The last time I looked, it was just over 20,000 people.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. William, I'm going to just ask you quickly. I don't see many of the other RAG team members now because this room was populated so fast. William, maybe just quickly give us your, you know, when did you get in, and where do we know one another from?
Thank you, Henry. Yes, I joined MTI 29th of February 2020. You were my sponsor, and I've actually been really active throughout the lockdown, and I've been really feeling like I changed people's lives. I was really excited about MTI, and I actually also quit my job, not solely due to this, but it was a big part of my life, because I managed to earn a substantial, proper passive income. So I was a true believer, and it was really a shock for me this December holidays. So I would like to believe that Johnny is right, and that Johan is a good guy, and I really want to see that things can be resolved. I've got 435 members, but we really plan to go big next year, and obviously now it's a completely different story.
Okay, thanks, William. I really appreciate that. Johan, I'm going to give you the floor almost now so that you can explain. I want to just explain the process of the RAG team. We started off as a couple of guys in the team when Johan said, okay, you can help with a website. So what we have done in the meantime is to grow the WhatsApp group that I had to its maximum. We opened a second one, and it's growing fast to its maximum. We're going to open a third one. And the reason why we do that is most people are familiar with WhatsApp. On the website, and Chris can explain the intricacies, but I just want to explain the actual process. On the website is a place to register so that we can get your membership number registered. That's for clarification. On our WhatsApp groups, it's been absolutely crazy in lately because people are calling us scammers. They are calling us part of the top management, and it's difficult to manage those groups. So we will be going through a filtering process in the website with registration, and Johan will help there with some software to make sure that the members are true MTI members, because we don't need trawlers, we don't need the FSCA, we don't need SARS, we don't need people that are all wanting to get a hand on the pie. From there onwards, there will be a click-through process directly to a Telegram group. Now, the reason why we started with WhatsApp is people understand and know WhatsApp. Telegram, a lot of us are on there, but not so many people know and have Telegram. But the Telegram group that I set up, it's already lying there waiting for this population to take place, can take 200,000 members. So we are now in a RAG team WhatsApp group where two of the advocates are with us. We are scrutinizing information. We are making sure that what we put out to you guys and what you can forward from these groups to your networks are the most accurate information that we have currently. We are not speculating anymore. We are not wanting to cut anyone's knees. We are not going to put someone in jail. For all that we know is we need the testimony of Johan in this case. Whether some believe he was part of the whole thing or not, we need his testimony. Whether we want to believe that the top management was involved with the other cryptocurrencies, as Hendrik mentioned, where they have got proof of that, and whether they have maybe had a hand in the pie and Johan is protecting the Bitcoin. We cannot speculate about any of those things anymore. It's keeping the WhatsApp groups busy and unnecessarily busy with hate speech. So this is the reason why we are using this channeling and giving you the most accurate and verified information as we currently have it. So Johannes, if you can just explain from your side your experience before, when you got involved with MTI, and your expertise from the banking years in South Africa, and also what you're doing currently now with the website for us. Thanks, Johannes.
Okay, I'm a little bit of a latecomer to the party, guys. I only sort of joined more or less at the beginning of November, and at the time I was still sussing out to try and find out exactly what was going on. I do have background in trading. I've been trading just about all my life, starting, and that's a long time back. Made some money and lost a lot of money as well, but I was getting in to try and see where this was going because I thought it was really good. Now, my background at the moment is that originally in the 90s, I was one of the people who wrote the software to check the interest, the bank's interest rates. And I started a company in the Cape to start taking the banks to task for the incorrect interest they charged. And I ended up with many a case with solicitors and with lawyers in the Supreme Court where we recovered those funds and recovered people's property. And there are many stories that I could tell about us getting to an auction and stopping the auction at the last minutes, and then getting an interdict against the guys not to be able to do the auction because of the incorrect and erroneous errors that banks had actually made. So that's my background. I eventually sold the company, moved on, and ended up in the UK. I'm now living in the UK. And I run 3 other businesses as well, which I'm part of. And one of them is a Global Village Worker, which has lots of resources as well for checking and vetting people and helping people to get work people who live in South Africa to get work. So I'm tied to a lot of things that are going on. Just to tell you now, just to follow through with this, I think it's really important that we make one thing really clear. We are not none of us here are working in the interests of MTI, and we're very careful that we try to keep everybody out that might try and get in under those auspices. We also, when when Henry says he's not part of the top management, he's talking about MTI. He's not talking about RAG. He is, at this stage, we would say the head honcho in RAG. So he's the guy who's helping drive this whole thing and making him and the team that we've got around us. We're working together as a group and sharing information, sharing data, and doing everything we can to make this possible so that we get the best possible help there is. I once asked a guy who was really rich, I said, how did you get so rich? Because you're not, I don't think you're very clever. He said, well, the answer is really simple. You must surround yourself with people that are cleverer than you, because they will help you get there. So that's what we're trying to do by talking to the advocates we're talking to, and also the solicitors that are involved. And we are trying to steer the course, because it is so critically important that the right people manage this, because we're dealing with an international currency, which is not a South African currency. There's no point in going into the legalities of that. There's nothing illegal there. It is a currency, simply a currency which you own. It's a commodity. You own a commodity. That's what the Bitcoin is. Now, the process here is that in the process, there are a lot of intricacies. There is the fact that you spent Rand to buy the Bitcoin has implications. The fact that that is an international currency, it's not negative. They're all standard things which are allowed to happen. There's nothing wrong with any of that. All of those things are things we have to consider when we're working with this. So I just want you all to think that, and the problem that, okay, just to tell you worst case scenario, if the wrong people go to court, almost anybody in the end will be able to get something done. But the question is, do they have the expertise to recover the Bitcoin? Because the more that data is corrupted and lost, the harder the problem will become for everybody. And we need to get the best team who can recover the most Bitcoin on an international basis as well, so that we can reach across borders and we can reach into other countries and get as much help as we can from the authorities. And therefore we have to do this responsibly. If we all run in different directions, it's like pulling an ox wagon. If the oxen don't pull together and stand together, they won't pull the wagon. And it's the same with this case. There's no heroes there. There's only groups of people that work together. Honestly, I believe that's the answer. I don't know, Henry, if you're still there, if there's anything else or any questions. Has anyone got any specific questions? Have I more or less covered it at the moment?
Johannes, I think so. There's a lot going on. This year was tough, and this end of the year, Christmas period, has been particularly tough on all of us, and we just jumped in and decided to do something, and we didn't know that it would escalate so quickly, and getting so many members involved. So the last 5 days our phones have been inundated, but we are trying, and we are getting more expertise in channeling this information. So firstly, I want to say thank you for William, that was on holiday down in Cape Town the day of the event, and we put a letter together. Actually, Johannes wrote it for us, and it was emailed down to William. William managed to reach the court's doors, where he met one of the advocates that was on our call this morning, just to say that the representation of the member down there was not the only member in MTI. We need to look at the true laws regarding cyber crimes, and the way that the South African laws would probably look at liquidating a company from within the company law. So we know that cryptos are not regulated here, and that it could be the wrong way of going about. So they are working on the process in the correct way. Hendrik, you can maybe just come in again and just maybe explain that portion of the partial liquidation or temporary or whatever the processes are. On the RAG group, one of the advocates gave us 4 steps. He was mentioning 4 steps in the process that makes the most sense currently. Hendrik, can you recall that text on the group? I can't remember if it was you or your associate.
Okay, thank you very much. Now there's 4 steps that we're going to follow to ensure this whole process is done correctly and to ensure that it is in the best interest of everyone that invested in MTI. That's also why we are requesting that firstly, we must get the provisional liquidation of MTI. That is just to ensure that we are able to secure the assets that belongs to the investors that was entrusted to MTI so that we can prevent it from being chipponed off to third parties. Once we get the provincial liquidation as well, there is a return date. So if MTI come and say, but we're able to pay all of you, then on the return date, they can still pay back the Bitcoin that is still outstanding to all the members. However, we will then also ask for additional powers for the liquidator to ensure that they can take control of all the assets, which is inclusive of all the Bitcoin that was given through to MTI, so that we can then proceed further and see where all the other Bitcoin or assets may have been hidden by the management, if any such, because unfortunately we don't know currently where is Mr. Johan Steinberg. Then afterwards, in the process, what we're going to do is then ask for the final liquidation if they're not able to pay back the money or the assets as we indicated. And once that is done, we will proceed and liquidate the company to the best interest of all everyone that invested in the company. Meaning that people who did receive or might have received some much more than what they paid in can be asked to bring back or contribute to the estate so that it can be distributed to the people who have not received the money or the assets that was due to them. Vaughan also indicated, as I said, that there is 4 steps, and as I indicated now, once we have got all the assets centralized and we have determined what is there, we will ensure that it is that what is left is paid through to the investors so that everyone at least can get something back. It's not nice to lose your money or lose your investment and not receive anything back at least.
100%, 100%. Chris, if you can maybe just fill in a little bit there for a moment. I'm just sending a link to another WhatsApp group.
Guys, so the situation here will be that we need to get people signed up who are genuine investors who were genuine investors in the first place. In the end, once the data and everything else has been sorted through, we will obviously be able to identify people better. I'm sorry, Zona, could you just mute your microphone, please? So, if we could, there'll be a process here to make sure that we give this out to the correct people. Furthermore, what we need to do is somewhere along the line, we don't need to ask for funds immediately at this stage of the game. But I think to be able to run this information system and to be able to work with the solicitors and the lawyers and things, there is going to come a time where we may need some funds. And how that will be structured and worked with will depend on the people who are in the RAG team, how that financial process will take place. Now, I want to just show everybody something which is really important to remember. If we can get all the members, 280,000 members of MTI, to work together as one unit, the eventual cost to anybody in the organization will be absolutely minimized. You can imagine how much we could actually do if everybody in the organization just contributed 100 Rand, how much that would put in the coffers to be able to do the work to get this resolved. And then we'll be successful, because we'll have the ability to do that. And I want to make it absolutely clear to you, those finances will be able to be scrutinized on a trust basis, and we'll work with the solicitors on how we would do that and who the auditors and so on will be. So somewhere along the line we might say, all right, now we need a membership fee. Or there might be people who say, look, we want to donate money to the cause. Well, that'll go on credit for you. If at the end of the day this whole thing is wrapped up, and let's say we've got a certain amount of money left, I will assure you that that money will be redistributed proportionally to the people on a fair basis, which we will publish how that will be done. But that money will not go to anybody else. So that's the way we're thinking at the moment. We still need to do some work on that. We haven't had time to discuss it. It needs to be discussed in a forum which involves the solicitors and everybody else, because somewhere along the line we might need to pay for a solicitor to do something in Brazil for us, and if that's necessary, we need to be able to have the resources to be able to do that. We haven't discussed the actual setting up of that fund yet. We haven't worked. We know we are going to need some funds, because even just going through all your data and making sure that we get the right type of people involved here, and making sure that we record your interest and that sort of stuff needs to be worked with, and we need to put people in charge of that. My idea is, we haven't talked it through yet, but one of the ideas I have is to set up a helpline as well, and we're going to need people to manage that helpline, and that helpline has to be paid for. So there is a lot of things that we need to be looking at that needs to be done. But the group will get together, will form what we call a board. The board will appoint people for specific tasks, and we will go from there. But that can only happen if we get your support. If you guys turn around and say, look, I'm happy to support you guys to do this. Because if we don't get the support, we're not going to be able to build that team. And that team will not be managed by me or Henry or one person. Obviously, we will have a head at that team. He will be the contact person, and we'll have people with different roles. But it will be managed and worked as safely and as the best we can, with proper accounting and proper auditing and everything else. And when we finish, those records will be available to the public to have a look at. We're not going to shy away from that work.
Great, thank you. Chris, we have a question over here that I would like you to maybe just answer as good as you possibly can. The question is, how would you know who the investors are? Is there a way to get that from MTI, the back office, or how are we going to know how to vet people for the first population of the Telegram group? And then just before you answer, I just want to say, reiterate something else that Chris mentioned now, that the information, and that's why two of the advocates approved to actually be on our RAG team group currently. They are checking the information that we are bringing in there. We ask their opinions about, or if they think that is right and good information to distribute currently out in the network. So we did it for ourselves because we want to be accountable for getting the truth out there and not suspicious information. So Chris, if you can give a little bit of light on the vetting process from the MTI back office side of things and how we can do that, because to put every person through a complete audit and vetting process is going to take a lot of manpower, a lot of time, and we don't have a lot of time. We need to get the correct members on that Telegram group ASAP. We don't want people to lose heart, but we also can't promise anything. We are just all members. So Chris,
Yeah, I think
Johannes,
the most
rather.
important thing here, obviously, and everybody will appreciate that, is managing the data. First of all, managing data we have access to, and secondly, managing that data in comparison with the information that we are given by the individual members. And obviously, as each one of you know, you will have records of what has taken place. And in the end, we'll have to ask Luno to also tell us where funds have gone into the system, into the MTI system. That might become necessary as well. But there are various means that we can access to find out how real somebody's claim is. And then obviously there'll be other ways of doing this through the actual Bitcoin processes. But I would shirk to give you guys definitives on that right now, because this is a fast developing thing that's going on at the moment. And there are investigations and negotiations and discussions that need to take place. So I know people want absolute clarity. That is not going to be possible right now. And that is only because we don't have a full analysis of what data we have available at the moment. But I do believe that if we support the correct legal team, we are going to get to the bottom of this and to be able to rewind any funds that were misappropriated out of MTI as well, because that is something we have to be looking into as well. I hope that answers people's questions at the moment.
Thank you. Yes, I just want to ask Shoal regarding, you said that you are happy to contribute towards costs. Thank you very much for that gesture. We can always keep that in the background when it's necessary at that point. If you can just send your number to me in a direct message there, I'll make contact with you and keep it on the back burner for when we do need something like that. Okay, I'm going to open up a can of worms, but very carefully. Let's open up for 3 members over here that really has a question that has not been answered. Please hear me correctly. If there's something that we did not address right now that you think might be a huge concern, please raise your hand so that I can unmute you for a 2-minute conversation. We will allow that for 3 people. Now everyone has something to say, so please forgive me if I do miss out on someone. So here's the opportunity. Raise your hand. I'm going to show you how you do that. So I'm just putting up my hand like that, and you see that's what I mean. In the reaction section at the bottom of, okay, we have someone, Zingling there. Okay, I'm asking you to unmute now. You must unmute that's it. Thank you very much.
Hi, so we just want to know that when you guys saw the live trades, was that before they moved to the new broker or after? That's the question.
I'm going to ask that gentleman that was up early to maybe just answer that question. We had the similar question earlier today, and we didn't conclude getting to that answer. I'm just looking for you on the actual platform at the moment. If you could put up your hand, that's it. Johnny, could you maybe come in here and actually help us with that question, because you said that you saw live trades, but we never concluded what happened after the funds was moved from FX Choice.
Yeah.
Johnny, you're on. Okay.
No, I was actually part of a team that was trying to confirm the trading with the back office. So I received FX Choice statements directly to make sure that what is happening in the back office is happening on the FX Choice accounts. And at that stage, we actually watched the trading bond run. So up to the point of the end of June 2020, I'm specifically pointing out to the 29th and the 30th of June. I actually had the statements on my laptop. I'm trying to get them again because my laptop was stolen in October. But those trading results were exactly correct according to what was going on in the back office and what was on the live trading accounts at FX Choice. But then at one stage, I know that Johan had a conversation. He was afraid of somebody freezing accounts with a specific broker that he was. And he then said that there's a possibility that they will be moving to a non-regulated broker. Now, what happened after moving to the non-regulated broker, I cannot say, because it's at that same stage that the corporate governance group came in and took over control. And at that stage, almost totally cut everybody off from Johan Steinberg, so that nobody could communicate with him further, because he was busy with the programming, he was busy with the bot, and they actually took total control of the rest of the function of the company.
Thank you very much. Johnny, while I'm on the line, just send me a private message with your number. I actually missed it in our previous one, so that I can just converse with you directly. Thank you for that. Johnny, you also said something in the meeting earlier that I have experience with, and I know Chris Creel, well, Johannes Creel, we know him as Chris, have the same experience. I've been trading myself about 5 years and got involved with cryptos 4 years ago, and I've been looking for places. I wasn't really hasty to get involved with things because I have been scammed in the past. I have lost money, like I think most of us have in the past, but not like this, not like what's happened here. And I got involved with a test program of one of the trading platforms where they opened up the development of bots as a testing program. It was a program where you could load up your bot for anyone to use, and you could take it off. You could put it on anything. You could load it up to trade between, say, for instance, Bitcoin and Ethereum. You could put it up to trade between the US dollar and the yen. So you had these tests that you could do. You could take off your bot anytime, and then you could use any of the other members' bots as well for tests. And I was literally just at the point where I had a bot that was really doing well. It was trading much more consistently than what Johan has actually given through on the profits. I think what we saw was very realistic from a trading point of view, and that was one thing for me. It wasn't overly profitable. It wasn't like, put in your money today and get 200% back in 2 days. They unfortunately canned that program, but I saw it, I dealt with it, and I worked with it. And I know, Johnny, you've mentioned this morning you had the same experience, and Johannes, you as well. If you quickly want to just very briefly mention that, because it is true that you get bots that can actually give better profits than what Johan showed. So that's one of the reasons why I joined MTI. The second reason why I joined was I was in control of my Bitcoin. I could put it in and take it out, and I did. I moved funds from my accounts to other members' accounts. I took it out and helped other members that were struggling to get into MTI, and I gave them Bitcoin. So, Johnny, just very quickly, your experience with that, with bots.
Yeah, basically the same. I've been in the trading environment for quite a while, having success and having failure at the same time as a trader. And what we were looking for is a bot that can consistently have a non-emotional effect on the market. And so we also started testing some bots, and I think we've gone through about 30 bots up to the point where somebody introduced me or phoned me and said, listen, but Johan Steinberg has got a bot that is running, and it's at that stage that I contacted Johan and said, what's going on? Yeah, you've got a bot, and yes, he has. And that's when I met him. Within a week, I met him, saw the bot trading, and at that stage, the settings for the bot was still a little bit high risk for me, 15 to 20% risk ratio. And I wasn't, I would, for somebody else to trade with the bot with 15 to 20%, I'll manage it, but with a success ratio then of an average of 1.5 to 3.5% per day, that was the average at that stage. And Johan said at that stage that he's going to limit the risk, program it down, until the risk is as little as possible, because he does not want risk. He'd rather take a smaller profit, but little risk than actually give a big profit with a higher risk, because that's how trading works. Your trading is directly connected. Your risk to your profit is directly connected.
Yes.
And
sorry,
yeah.
just before we continue and go to you, Johan, I know Zinglinde was still on that question. You just come in again for us.
Sorry, just say again.
Just come in again. I saw your hand was still up, or are we done with your question?
No, that was just from the previous question. Sorry.
Okay, great. 100%. Stefan, just ask your question.
Thank you, Henry. I think I appreciate the sentiments that's just been shared. From my point of view, at the moment, MTI is broken, and we need to get investors' Bitcoin back. That is the reason why I threw my weight in behind the efforts here. And I think the big question for me was, who's going to lead and help us to get there? And I have a great appreciation for the guys that put up their hands and been able to pull together, I believe, the right expertise. I was part of the meeting this morning as well. And I believe that the legal people that are involved at the moment, between them, we do have knowledgeable people. We have people with the right experience. And I trust that pretty soon we should be able, I hope, have a single concerted effort on every front, both legal and from possibly a liquidation point of view, where we would be able to pursue the Bitcoin and in whichever wallets the Bitcoin is. So I think at this point, for me, I'm a bit of a black and white person. It's right or wrong. It's go or don't. And I think my single purpose for being here is to see Bitcoin returned to members. And I appreciate that there might be merits of the past. There might be personalities, credentials that come into question. I think none of that matter now. What matters is that we join hands, we pursue the Bitcoin on behalf of the members. And thank you to the guys who put up their hands to help us achieve that.
Thank you. Stefan, Chris, if you can just come in regarding the actual bots, and then thereafter, I think I need to conclude this meeting. Thanks.
Sorry, were you asking me about the bots?
Yes, just your experience on that side, just briefly.
Can, just from a trading point of view, I was trading in this is going to give away my age, in 1977 when the gold standard started to fall apart, and it was put out on the international market, where gold went from 32 to nearly $1,000 in 6 months, from $32 to $1,000 per ounce in 6 months. And then after that dropped off a cliff edge as well, and then regained its growth again. But one of the things that my son and I have been exploring is artificial intelligence to run the bots. And yes, it really is possible. The only thing that I would say is exactly the balance with the risk, So the figures that that was coming out of MTI when I started looking at it did seem very realistic. I think the other thing that would have also carried that momentum would have been the growth in the currency itself. So I think that the currency needs to also prove its legality, and also I think the people who manage the currency in the background, and we're talking the BTC, the Bitcoin, have an obligation to prove that they can be responsible as far as this whole thing is concerned. Now, there's a lot of international, there will be a lot of international people looking at what happens here, and I think that a lot of people will try to help us to prove, to make this a success story, and I mean back office people. But they're not going to help us if we're a splintered group and we have no credibility. So
Right.
that, I think, is really important. The more we join forces and put our hands up, the more credibility we have, the more clout we have, the more we can go and sit down with the Prime Minister of Brazil and say, listen, there's a guy here that has created, who's on an international basis we need to talk to. Can you please help us? And we're not out there to break anybody's legs, because honestly, the solution here is if all the guys holding the wallets walk into somebody's office tomorrow and say, I'm ready to solve this problem for these guys, I'm quite comfortable to ask you guys to say, you know, all right, let's give them 10% of what they return. And there we are, we're off. That's it. I think that'll be our lowest cost in the project. I don't know what you say, Hendrik. What do you think about that? Hendrik van Staden.
Hendrik, where are you? Okay.
Yes, here I am. If you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. At some stage, we will have to approach the authorities of the various countries. And at some stage, it's not just like we have to go and grab money, because we'll have to take into account that we're going to get resistance from the Reserve Bank if we just want to transfer money, especially to investors from overseas countries. So we will have to sit around the table with the local authorities, which will include the Reserve Bank, and see how are we going to overcome the hurdle of, firstly, finding people from overseas that can be held responsible, and secondly, also how we are going to make payments. Because, as I indicated, the Reserve Bank won't be happy if we just start sending out millions of rands to investors from other countries. So our team, as the RAG team, as well as the legal minds, do have a big wall in front of us, but I'm sure that as a team, one can mount it, and we will overcome all the mountains that are thrown in our path. And I'm very glad that we were afforded this opportunity to work together in the best interest of all the investors, and to prove that we will and are able to work together in South Africa. Because otherwise, if we don't handle this thing correctly, it will firstly damage the image of the Republic of South Africa, and also we will lose all credibility in the way how we treat similar cases in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, Hendrik, that is so important what you mentioned. One of the members mentioned the same thing at the bottom here, and I think that is on everyone's minds, is that the payment should preferably be, if possible, back in Bitcoin, and that will, I think, sort out a lot of other issues when it comes to fiat currencies from different countries. We can continue on these talks on this matter in the future as things unravel. I see Divan Mayberg has his hand up, and we will take him as the last person asking a question over here. I'm unmuting you now, Divan. You can unmute yourself. Are you there? Divan, I've clicked on the button for you to unmute. Okay, Divan is not here with us anymore, I think. Okay, there he is. Let's come again. Yes, there we go. Come. All right. Divan, do you know at the
Yes,
top?
sorry.
That's
Yeah,
it.
sorry,
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Sorry, thank you guys for the opportunity. I just want to find out, why are we actually liquidating MTI currently? what is broken? Someone mentioned that MTI is broken. What is actually broken MTI? We as members have not received any official communication from anybody that MTI is not going to carry on with normal duties from day-to-day trades. What is actually wrong with MTI?
All right. Okay. I would like to come in on my part of the understanding. What Stefan mentioned is the credibility of MTI currently. MTI as a company, I cannot see, and many members cannot see how they will ever be able to continue the way that it was. It is absolutely at the moment a multimedia and news catastrophe which is busy happening, and we find this exactly on the WhatsApp groups as well. If you see how people are bickering and moaning at the moment, it is a wave that is unstoppable at the moment, and that is going widespread. We don't have any idea how many lawyers and other advocates have been pulled in internationally and even more in South Africa that are filing certain issues. It's a good question that you ask about why are we liquidating. I was one that was opposed the liquidation from my understanding, and that's why we asked William to actually help us down the court. It was more a case of getting more understanding, and that there are 280,000 members affected by this, and not maybe a smaller group of 20 or 30,000 members. So it was really a process of understanding, and I'm going to ask Johan to fill in here as well as Hendrik, just to help with this explanation. But from an emotional point of view and from a credibility point of view, on the face out there is where we say it is broken.
Sorry, I think the Devon, you have a very valid point. Your idea is that this thing can carry on and it can be a success. We are not the process at the moment with the application. It's not a full liquidation. It is a provisional liquidation, which basically means that if Johan pitches up tomorrow with all the Bitcoin, then something can be done about it, and as long as the assets are greater than or bigger than the creditors, then this whole thing can be recovered. But something has to be done to protect or to get to the Bitcoin so that it can't be further distributed. The reason this needs to be done, I have not seen a single MTI management team person stand up and say, listen guys, you can't liquidate us, we have full control on what's going on, send in your lawyers and we'll prove to them we have the funds. Has anybody received anything like that, which is real and that makes sense? You look at all the information that's coming out at the moment, and these guys who stood behind this are just off the map. I think that says it all. That's the way it is, and nobody is saying, no one is saying Johan can't, and we are now sitting at 3 weeks, and I want anybody to tell me I'm wrong. We are sitting at 3 weeks where nobody has been paid what they requested.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the
And
problem.
if I can just add to that as well,
yes,
we must take note that the applicant. Yes.
Carry on,
No, sorry. Carry on, Hendrik.
Okay, we must also take note that our applicant in the case for liquidation, Mr. Anton Lee, already requested a withdrawal on the 1st of December 2020. And despite numerous messages to the support at MTI, etc., he received no feedback from them so that he would be able to receive his money at all. So that actually forced us to bring the liquidation application. And as it was rightly emphasized, we have agreed that we will go for a provisional liquidation, as Mr. Steinbeck might pitch up, and then honor all the payments. And then MTI can continue. But as in the current form, we have to ensure that the assets entrusted to MTI, which is the cryptocurrencies, is protected so that the money or the assets are not chipponed off, and so that it doesn't get lost, and by the end of the day that no one have anything left. So that's why it's very important that we had to liquidate or provincially liquidate MTI.
Yes, Divan,
Yes, I think I've got a little bit more understanding regarding this question and what's going actually on with MTI. So you guys are saying there's actually no official confirmation from Johan Steinberg
Nothing.
or
No.
his management team.
No.
That's what you're
No.
saying.
The whole of the
He's
management
disappeared.
team have gone underground. Why have they done that? If they've got control of the situation and they can resolve it, why don't they just step up to the plate?
100%.
Okay.
All right, guys, I think we're going to have to start concluding. There was a last question. Someone says, I think it will be easier for people to understand if they know the truth here. You know what we are all looking for in the end of the day. I'm going to just throw this in the air. Think about this. There are one of two possibilities. One is coming forward. Johan is coming forward with the Bitcoin, as was just mentioned. We get our Bitcoin back and the MTI system can pay out. Credibility was lost in that case. On the other side, this thing goes south completely. We don't get anything. That will be, from a financial point of view, disastrous for many people and hurting a lot of people. What we all want in the end is the truth. The truth will give closure. Whether it's going to hurt us on this side or whether we're going to get money back, we just want closure. I think that is the underlying sentiment that everyone has. It's not going to be nice to hear that this thing has gone under completely. None of us want that. And that is why we are putting up a fight or a process to try and recover what we can, or else Johan pays everything, we get our money, but I am not sure with the company structure in place as it is now that I will continue in the business. I was disappointed, I think, with a lot of management decisions whereby they only had one email for us to communicate with them on support, and they never had an open channel on any WhatsApp group or any Telegram group. It was always only one-way street communication. And I think you all have experienced that. So another question, how do we register on Telegram? I'm going to go back to our process. The process is we are populating the WhatsApp groups now to get people that are familiar with WhatsApp to get the information. We do update. We have a couple of members that are posting on that has been verified by our RAG team. From there onwards, we send everyone to the website so that you can register. Register with your MTI username and your username ID over there. That will help us with verification, and Chris is the expert in this field, that we are filtering people from there straight to a Telegram group that can handle 200,000 members that are members. I reiterate this. We want members on there, not SARS, not the FSCA, not someone, and I've had a few of them on Telegram groups that are literally starting groups that says we are a concerned MTI membership group. I decided to join this group and I watched them for a couple of hours. And then I posted a question, and then 3 members, the one that was the moderator of it and 2 other members, started harassing me and actually literally calling us thieves. And we then realized that they had no understanding of what proper trading was about, and neither what good, healthy network marketing is all about. So it became clear because some members texted me personally and said, we think this could be an FSCA setup meeting. And that is part of what we are trying to filter, is to get those guys that are not registered at MTI out of the picture, because we are all concerned. We want to help one another. It is not an easy thing to filter out all the garbage, if I may say, that is out there. But this is our process. We started something, and we will appreciate your support as far as possible. Send our links of the website as far as you can. We have today concluded a logo for the RAG team that you will know is from this team. It will come on all the websites. On the website, on all the WhatsApp groups and the Telegram groups, so that you know this is our logo. It's just for people to identify with who we are. it takes about 24 hours for the website to actually refresh all the pages with the new logo, if I'm correct, Johannes, as you explained to me earlier today. So within the next day or so, you will have a face. There's a little picture, and it says RAG Team and the explanation of what the RAG Team stands for. So I would like to conclude with that and say thank you very much for everyone's participation. I want to particularly say thank you to Hendrik, our advocate that has been here and helping us, Chris for building the website, and many of you that are helping in this process. We are really now planning for the next Zoom call to have an upgraded 1,000 room Zoom call. As I say, we all just used what we had to get this thing going. So please do not shoot us for not being better prepared in that regard. We've been learning from the day one in MTI how to do the business, and we've learned until this thing closed down how to run the business. And so it is with anything in life. If we are prepared to learn, we are prepared to listen to good sense, we can all grow as people. But if we criticize anything that we see all the time, we are not going to grow as people, and we're not going to get understanding of where we're getting to. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to conclude this meeting right now. A recording will be made available. And Chris, we are going to put up a YouTube channel for this purpose. I have, in the meantime, just used my Facebook page as a place of saying that we have something going. We're not sure if we're going to be using that Facebook page per se for the RAG team, but I'm quite willing. I set it up in March for MTI members. So it's not my page or that one's page or whatever. I've just made it available. You guys can look me up on it.
Yeah, can I just one thing?
Yes, Johannes.
I think something that's going to be important over the coming days is we will set up a process for people who feel they have something to contribute to go to a specific area and say, look, I'm a web designer. I really think you guys don't know what you're doing, but I think I can help you. And we will be needing people to help us out as well. We're not going to be able to manage this by ourselves. So that has to be there as well. And please, guys, we are not afraid to answer questions, and that's the most important thing. Only remember that we only have very limited resources at the moment. So make sure that you've followed up on the information that we've made available before you send us a question. And if there is a question, we're not afraid to tackle those questions. We'll either do them on an open forum or we will publish them. So if you think there's a FAQ that you need us to deal with, send it to me by email at the admin. There's an admin email, admin@getaquid.com. Send that information in there and put in the thing FAQ. In other words, frequently asked questions, something you think that needs to be answered, and we'll do our best to answer those things.
Yes, Chris, thank you very much, because we actually have that question. I'm not going to put my personal number on this line now. We've already tried to silence some of the WhatsApp groups. I would like to, I don't mind talking to you, but I mean, since this Zoom call started and people couldn't come in, it's just been ringing the whole time. So Johannes have provided that in the website. There's a place to ask your questions. If you want to provide help in any way, mention it over there so that we can pick you up and say, okay, let's talk. How can you help? Maybe you can help manage a WhatsApp group. Maybe you can help adding people. Maybe you can help sending out the right information through other networks where you can. We really appreciate that. I see a lot of hands up. I'm going to give Hendrik one last opportunity, maybe just to talk to us, or was that your hand from the previous time, Hendrik?
No, that is from now. I just also want to bring it under attention of everyone that's here, that if there's no official communication from the RAG team, because I see there's people on various Telegram groups, as well as there's now a website publishing that the RAG group is supporting a specific attorney as well as a specific liquidator, which is totally untrue.
Yes. Yeah,
so I did
so. Yes.
I did post it to the RAG team now, the link to that specific website, and we have to kill this thing, because now people are exploiting the RAG team, which is there to work together and ensure we are working together in the best interest of the investors. Now other people are trying to hijack that process for their own personal gains, which is not on at all. So if anyone gives out any communication and it doesn't go through the RAG team, it is not from the RAG team.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to stick my foot into something, Hendrik, one of you guys mentioned. I asked a question on the previous group. Do you guys have dealings with Mr. Bollais? And you guys said that he has helped you guys with some of the cybercrime investigations. And there was a possibility of us talking to him, if I'm correct, as a possibility, but there's no guarantee. Someone mentioned that he would be looking into MTI and not Johan. But I'm mentioning that because we know he has a TV show, and if we can get his involvement in this, we all know that he has great successes as well. It's not putting any other legal authority down over here. It's just because he has an audience out there as well. And I know Johan also has links with radio stations and all sorts of things. So if we go big with this thing, we would like to do it quickly and get people to listen to what Hendrik just said now. If things doesn't come from our RAG team, where we are accountable to one another. We are accountable to one another. If it doesn't come from this group, take it as people not understanding, for one. People are maybe trying to protect their own interests. And we are just a bunch of guys. Ek is net 'n normale ou soos julle. I put up that picture. I'm going to tell you the last thing I'm going to record. That little picture that I have of me with my little white Z4 in the background. I asked a photographer friend of mine in February that I need to just have a face, because we are talking to people and we want to build a business. I was going to sell that car to invest in this business. I was in a way saying bye to it. Okay, that's where that picture comes from. And then it so happened that the business grew and it wasn't necessary. That's a story that I have. My Facebook is there. I don't hide anything. And we are accountable. A very good member in my network sent me Hendrik's number. That's a friend of Hendrik. And we spoke, and I said, this is one of the guys we need to talk to. And William managed to get the contact with the guy that took the liquidation to court, and we had all of them on this meeting. All we want to do is help normal members. Sorry, guys, that I'm croaking up. I never saw this coming, but that is it. Thank you very much for your participation. We're going to make this video available and probably put it on a YouTube channel. We will work on the details there. Don't press us and too much on just getting details. Thanks, guys. It was fantastic. Really appreciate your input, and please tell your members, sorry that our room wasn't bigger. We will make it bigger. Sorry that we've been slow in communication, but for us it was at a rapid rate in getting this information out to all of you guys. Thank you and good night, and enjoy the rest of this festive season. There's nothing we can do in our ability. It doesn't help to go and worry at night. Try and get some sleep, and we will try our best. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.